Hi there everybody, my name is Kate and welcome to my channel, Trenergy Awakens. Naturally, of course you're on the road, of course we are. I wanted to share something with you that I got a download yesterday and it just kind of filled in today the rest of the way. So here we go. We're right before the solar eclipse. However, as usual, this is a timeless message in that the message remains the same. The energies are shifting, and if it applies, let it apply, and if it don't apply, let it fly, please. So here's the deal, is that during this eclipse season, the energies are very powerful and there's huge shifts that can happen and are happening. Whether we want them to or not, whether we like them or not, whether we experience them as awesome or not, really is irrelevant, doesn't matter, because we really don't have any control over that. What we do have the ability to do is manage our energy within those constructs and within those shifts. And a lot of that comes from needing to deal with our karma and needing to deal with balancing what has been greatly imbalanced in our energy, in our emotional intelligence gathering over the years and lifetimes and our records, etc. So here's the deal, is that when you have very strong celestial body movements such as a solar eclipse, lunar eclipse, full moon, but the solar eclipse, this is a biggie, that when you have those kinds of powerful shifts happening, it leaves us, and we're in Mercury retrograde, leaves us very naked and raw in many places, and it's designed, as such, so that we have an opportunity to really get in there and dig around, rat around, and find out where we've been a clown, really, and fix that. 144, thank you very much. That the deal with people is that if they have karma built up, this is one of the best times that we can clear a lot of debt, and it's also one of the best times that we can assume a whole lot more debt. It's sort of like having a credit card that, we can get double the points on it by doing really well and using that cosmic credit very well, or we can go right into, cosmic hell with, cosmic bankruptcy, which doesn't really exist. You're gonna pay that, one way or another. And I don't mean to put it out there as a fear, I'm just saying that's the way that works, is 222. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. And so when we have a time such as now, with the solar eclipse building, where it's very open, naked, and raw, and we're choosing very unkindly, unwisely, or just plain old badly, we can be really racking up stuff that, you could have, used that time a little more efficiently to clear, stuff, instead of continuing to pile it on, because it's a crucial time where, double the points, for what you're doing, get more bang for your buck, and it's going to happen whether we're choosing well or we're choosing, not very well. So I was reminded that yesterday as I was hiking, this was kind of coming in, and it finished filtering in, as I said this morning. I remembered a guy, and I don't know who he is, I don't remember where I saw this story, but I saw this story a number of years ago, and as I was going through my transition myself, within the last 5 years, he was a white nationalist. He was absolutely very much anti-everything, pretty much, very racist, and had a real penchant for the black people, Jewish people, the people of any color that wasn't white. He just really did not dig that, and he got involved through a lot of very mind manipulative and mind melding experiences with people who were all inclusive of the white guy, and really pumping him up. A lot of what you see, in the United States policy right now, and how, people gravitate to that. I don't remember if his was religious based or not, though. I just know that he was all deep in it. I mean, they got together like the KKK, and they would target specific people in their community if they were, it was like the 1950s or something, and of course before that, but it was hard, and it showed, video of his meetings with his brotherhood, and the gowns they wore, the attire. It was quite shocking to see that, even in the 2000s. And he was very open about it, and saying that I often, look back and can't believe that was me. However, when I realized just how awful it was and how many people I had harmed, and the lengths that I went to terrorize other people, their group was extremely domestic terrorist oriented, and they would, really stalk in many levels different people that they did not like, and it basically was anybody that was not white, that was it. And They got violent with them. They would thieve from them. And he alluded to, but didn't come right out and say, that I was never caught for any of the things that I did that were more extreme. He was brought up on charges for physical violence, and spent a little bit of time in jail, if I remember correctly. However, he said I wasn't caught for the most extreme things I did, and I feel deeply ashamed by that. So I'm going to go out there and say that he, probably was involved in the unliving of one or two people, and or he at least knew about it. This was a gang, I mean, straight up gang of predators. And the interviewer said, do you have any idea how many people, 10, 20, 30, and the guy looked at him, he's like, how many people that I harmed or that I, destroyed their lives? He said, it's a number I can't even count. I was in this group for a very long time, and we were a big group, and we did a lot of big stuff, So he said, I can't even remotely remember or calculate how many people I touched in a very bad way. And so the reason that I'm bringing that up is because sometimes, when I see people like that, and I think, good God, there's no hope for that, that there is hope if a person is not so pathologically far away from their own humanity and their own divinity, that they just absolutely cannot see, what the worth of another person. They end up being like that. However, they're not completely irretrievable if they can at some point be able to self-reflect and say, oh my God, I feel shame, I feel guilt. Living in shame, that's a very different experience than feeling remorse or guilt. And even remorse, that's the short-term engagement. But learning that, someone can have guilt about their action, there's hope there. Even though he had a long road to hoe with fixing his past, or dealing with that karma, he had a lot of work he needed to do. But it at least gave me the remembrance yesterday and today that even the worst offenders, the people who are the most awful, the most horrific, if they ever experience a sense of shame or guilt or remorse or something that connects them back, many times they'll have that feeling, and then they'll go do something to distract themselves, get more violent, or do something that takes them away from that feeling because they cannot deal with the feeling. So this is certainly not a broadband, everybody that once they feel that shame or that guilt or remorse or something, they just convert. Obviously that's not true. It would be ridiculous to assert such a thing. However, if a person gets there and they have the courage to deal with, oh my God, what have I done? The way that he cleared a whole bunch of karma for himself was to become an advocate and an educator with young men, youth, particularly men, because he saw that as being a brotherhood where, he got brought in because he came from a very unstable and violent family, and that's kind of what he knew. 808, thank you. That's already what he knew in his history. And then it gave him a sense of validation. It's very much the gang mentality and the gang acceptance and I belong and, loyalty and the brotherhood. Never mind that, we're asking you to pledge to horrible things that are destroying your soul, destroying your soul's journey. Can't destroy the soul. However, it's destroying your soul's journey here on the earth that it's going to be, much of anything productive for humanity. And when it comes to bear that we need to pay those dues, that's ugly, and it's a whole life of just living at a level of awful that I can't imagine. But what he said is that when I converted and got out of that, he said it was horrible, it was awful, and people were angry. They were, they got just as violent with me that I had been violent with other people. They got just as angry. And that's kind of the key, by the way, is that if we're hanging out with people that are violent and very exclusive and inclusive of only one type and these kinds of major red flags, do not even remotely think for a second that if you ever stepped away, just have to consider, I would never leave that. Well, just consider that if you did, would you be the next target? Because the answer is yes, more than likely, because that's about control and dominance, obviously. So the deal, though, how it relates to the solar eclipse is that, getting engaged in activities that are the absolute antithesis of what we used to do, to become very community driven. If we've done things that we know were hurtful, we feel that guilt, we feel that remorse. As I said, shame is a very difficult thing to try to deal with because it comes with a whole lot of negativity, obviously, and guilt is still negatively experienced emotion. However, that's the precursor to going into the shame of you're awful, you're terrible, and you're irretrievable, and you're hopeless. You know, guilt is, ooh, yeah, I've done something that really wasn't cool. 10-10, thank you. I need to, you know, make this right again. So that's a fine line. But using this eclipse time to either build our credit up and really, you know, do some amazing things. It's very powerful to be able to do that, to build up great things. It's also a very good time to clear a lot of not so great things that, you know, perhaps we didn't act with as much finesse or grace as we could have, or that we think we should have, or we realize, you know, that was just a really awful thing to do, either to a stranger, to family, to a boss, to whatever, you know, nature, wherever the infraction is happening. That this man turned his whole entire life the opposite direction of, I'm, you know, just rolling down this road, steamrolling hard, finally caught up with him, you know, and said, I just can't do this anymore. And he very much expressed that that wasn't easy to deal with. It was not something that I was proud of, and I'm still not proud of it. And he is, you know, pretty well received in his speaking venues, but he did say that there are times whenever, you know, I've had people protest me coming to speak in their area because of that, my history. It doesn't matter what I'm saying now. They're still holding the remembrance, 1122, of what I used to do, which, you know, okay, we can understand the psychology on it, however the man's trying to make it right, but he does have to deal even still. That's part of that karmic return, and heaven only knows what goes on in his private life. He didn't get into all that, but there is a way to knock our karma down by really going in, 1144, thank you, going into service to humanity, where we have, you know, gone sideways with humanity, as one person on one person, or, you know, a collective against a collective, or however we've done it, you know, wherever we've made those infractions and those imbalances, consciously choosing to be hateful and awful, you know, particularly, that we can use the eclipse time to, how can I move this into line and really be more serviceable to humanity, that can clear, you know, quite a bit for us, because the energies are aligned to do just that for us and with us. We don't get a free ride. Nobody gets a free pass, and nobody gets to, you know, just not have, you know, anything they have to do to clean up the past. There's no such thing. Grace does not extend into, you know, that bankruptcy thing. That would be grace extending to, yeah, you're just cleared of all charges. No, that's not how that works, you know, cosmically. However, we can be graced when we're humble and we reach that point of, you know, being on our knees and saying, okay, this is a come to Jesus meeting, or a come to whomever, you know, you subscribe to, that we yield to. This is a come to that meeting, and it's just me and you, that I have to come to grips with what I've done here. What can I do? And so, you know, eclipse time, we can use that to clear quite a bit of debt, whether we've been out being a white nationalist, a KKK supporter, you know, a Jewish hater, whatever. It doesn't matter what we've done, what level of it we've done. We can clear quite a bit by really using that solar eclipse time as, how can I get really real with myself? Because the energies are supporting that anyway. We're going to feel naked and raw, you know, when we are. And if we dive into that with all the support that we have within us, to say, look, you know, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to, you know, make this right. However, I know you do. I know that my higher self does. I know that God does. Jesus does. Brahma, Allah, my spirit guides, angels, you know, whomever, whatever you subscribe to. I have a whole team that's here to support me in making this right. How can I do this? And, you know, not get into that whole shame component of all, you know, how bad and awful and all the terrible things I've done. And, you know, I don't deserve something. We all deserve, especially if we're on our knees asking, you know, how can we, you know, fix this? How can I do right by me and by humanity, and every infraction that I've ever made? How can I do that? Then we have the right. We've just entitled ourselves to that right. However, we can't push it out here, 1414, to extend that right out here, to have the right to do something to you or expect something from you. That's not, the expectation is, I expect you, that now that I'm here getting raw and real with myself, and ooh, having a rotten day or two, perhaps with it, that ego death isn't pleasant, and it doesn't look very good most of the time. However, we're entitled right there when we get our energy in line and say, look, you know, I'm raw and naked and quite afraid, and I don't know how to do this perhaps, but I'm ready to let it go. I'm ready to surrender to this process and go with the flow, and clean up my mess and get honest about where I have been quite out of line. get honest with me first and honest with the divine that I know I have, and what do I do to start cleaning that up. And it's not, it's not necessarily a pretty place, and it's, not pleasant always. However, there's just such relief in finally unburdening the soul of, yeah, we know inside of us, everywhere that we have misstepped, we're very aware of it. There's no way, 1515, that we don't understand that, or that we don't know that within us. We all have that divine spark, and we can be real turned off from it and never feel, guilt, shame, remorse, or anything, go right to the grave with it. However, we're always consciously aware of it. We are always aware of it on some level, quite unconsciously. A lot of people, pardon me, not everybody is consciously aware of it, but we are aware somewhere in our energy. Our higher self always knows, oh dear, where it blows here. That's part of the whole process of being a human being, is transcending the ego. So I encourage you to use the solar eclipse time at whatever level you're playing, with the divine, that playing straight up honest, bold, and proud, and I am what I am, naked, raw, real, and kind of sloppy. Okay, it's okay. It's really okay. It's how are we going to use our energy in a better way, and how are we going to step forward with authenticity and say, yeah, this is the real me, take it or leave it. However, I answer here, not to thee. So take care. 1616, thank you. I love synchronicity. 77, take care of yourselves and enjoy your day, no matter what part of the day you're in, and get within your skin, because you're divine. Oh my goodness, get that sucker all in line, because it's already fine. Divine is always fine, and it can keep you in check all the time and help you get into a better alignment with the solar eclipse, with the lunar eclipse, with the full moon. It doesn't matter, and get you in line, whether you ever pay attention or look up, to the stars in any way whatsoever. It can get you there. So however you get there, do it with grace. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you again, as I said. And take care. Get within your skin, because you're divine, lovely, 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 and so, so, so fine. Take care of your beautiful selves. I'll see you again next time. Goodbye, my friends.